457-9997. Rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so the kind compliments of Flow St. Vincent Limited Activated Morning right here on WEFM 99.9. We should be joined by Lyf at this time. Good morning to you, Lyf.
Hey, good morning, Maka. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, my brother?
I good. How are you today? Where is Roleza? I'm not hearing him.
What you want to hear me for? You ain't have your commentary to do. Just do your commentary. You want to hear me for? Morning, Lyf.
I much want to hear you, morning.
Lyf careful, and Roleza will beat you, you know.
I know. So, I was looking at some news articles, opinion pieces online, right? Written on a website. And listen, there are a lot of people trying to pose as intellectuals and extremely smart, right? But some of the things that they write just makes me question how people can be so irrational and just like basically extremely biased in the way they think about certain things. Now, this person was complaining about people not resigning their position. They were basically saying, well, there are some people that were given positions because of political favors or whatever. And after the government changed, they did not resign. And they mentioned several people. And one of the things they're saying, these people should resign right away. Some of these people mentioned are civil servants, right? And if one knows how resignation goes, if you're in a job and you resign the job, you basically give up your benefits, whatever benefits you wanted, you get. Now, if I'm in a position for, say, 10 years, 15 years, even 5 years, and I'm supposed to get benefits if I am fired, would I resign that position and lose my benefits, or would I wait to be fired? Like, it's an honest question. Why would I go, right? I'm not 100% sure, because some of these people in these positions are not 100% sure that the new government is going to fire them in. They're not sure, you know. Some people just think that people should resign because in their mind they're political appointments. But the government may have a different plan for somebody in a position like that. Because when during one of Dr. Godwin's, Prime Minister Dr. Godwin's Friday's first speech, he asked for togetherness, and in another speech also asked the senior public servants to just do their job and aid in the transition of the new government, because obviously they're coming into new jobs. They're not 100% certain or sure or confident on how things are supposed to run. So obviously they need senior public servants. But this person is basically saying, these people just abandon their posts, lose their benefits or whatever. I know some people did that. Some people did that, but these are people who know for sure, because of the nature of the job, they're going to be fired, and maybe they have sufficient funds to aid their transition into whatever they choose to pursue after that. So they resign, forfeiting the benefits. But realistically speaking, not everybody in these positions will be able to do that. So when you say, they should just resign because you say so, lose your benefits, put yourself in a bad financial situation, and suppose you resign and the government was planning to keep you on to help with the transition. Now, social media created all kind of monsters. I heard a voice note recently where somebody was talking about me and another work colleague and saying that they shouldn't fire them, they shouldn't fire them. They should put them in a position where and pressure them You should put them in a position and pressure them so they could resign. Because whatever reason, and when they was asked about one of the posts, they mentioned it. What's the reason for firing a post? That post doesn't go out with job. Oh, that post is boring, man. That post is boring. And these are people who, and he didn't know that what he was saying was being told to me, So this is the kind of mentality people have. Fire them because the government changed. Because you assume that they supported the former administration. So fire them. What is the reason to fire them? Oh, because they're boring. So the person doesn't do a good job? Yes, but other people could do the job. So get rid of them. Because in your mind, you're a supporter of the former administration. And you should resign because you assume political appointments. So resign and lose all the benefits. Now, someone who resigned said to me, okay, I resigned because me ain't waiting for them to fire me. Because I know they're going to fire me. But it have people who should resign because they don't show their hand during the last campaign and they should resign. But as I said before, how you know that the government is going to fire you? You don't know. And then if you resign, as I said, you lose your benefits in a bad financial position. The article that I was reading speaks about the Commissioner of Police and said that the Commissioner of Police should resign. And one of the reasons it's stated for the resignation is because he allowed the former Prime Minister, opposition leader, Dr. Roleza Gonzalez, to remain with his security details, so he should resign for that. No, this is not like people are putting making the security detail thing purely political. Now that's the reason for Commissioner to resign. Because he allowed a former Prime Minister who was struck in his head during a riot to have security details. Now the security detail thing for me is not supposed to be rocket science, right? They say basically the rules say once the Prime Minister, once the former Prime Minister opposition leader is still involved in opposition in politics, that he's not entitled to a security detail. Now, I think this is a mistake. Because of the kind of place civils has become over the last few years, I think that is a mistake. Because God forbid something happens to the opposition leader under this new administration.
But did you hold this same position when Dr. Friday was opposition leader?
Oh no. We getting mistaken. We getting it therapy. We talk about opposition leader. We talk about former Prime Minister.
Okay. Are you making that differentiation?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about opposition leader. But maybe an opposition leader, maybe they should look into putting that into the laws in the future. It's according to the political climate, because when you look at it, we see former Prime Minister Dr. Gonzalez being struck in his head with a projectile. So what you think, right? We in such a place now, right? The possibility exists that the opposition leader could be walking or going somewhere and somebody look to hit him or attack him, because that's the kind of climate we live in right now. People don't put common sense when it comes to politics.
But could he?
Everywhere in the world, former leaders and present leaders are afforded security. Everywhere in the world, once requested. In the great United States, a former president always has security service detail, and it's still protected by the state. I see recently one of the states in America, they removed the security detail out of spite from a senator, and it created serious backlash and serious discussions. And I think that the security detail had to be reinstated. So this is not something that I think should be rocket science. But coming back to the former point, to call on the resignation of a commissioner because the security detail remains up to date. these things are not practical. These things are not practical. And the new administration knows who they will keep and who they will not keep. So if you're talking about, okay, pride, and let me resign because I have pride, I don't want them to be able to say they fire me. That is good. If they can do that, if they're financially in a position to do that, do that. You know what I mean? But you can't force somebody to resign a position that they know that although they may be politically affiliated, that they are willing to carry out in a professional manner. You force them to resign a position like that. If the administration wants to fire you, they will fire you. Simple. They know who they want to fire from who they don't, and they know who they have to from who they don't.
Well, but I mean, to be honest, for the public service, it's not that easy to fire persons unless you have proper documentation as to why they're being fired. But Lyf, in all seriousness here though, don't you think that for some persons, right, in certain positions, that the government, well, the new administration has to keep a close eye on some of them?
Yeah, I agree. I said that before. I agree that some of them would have, and that they know the ones that they can't find that easy. Some have already been shifted around. They've been shifted and put in positions that if they think that they're dangerous to the functioning of the administration, they have been placed in positions where they can't, can't sabotage. It has been done in some instances, few instances. You know what I mean? And some people claim to be right now to be put in positions where they're being pressured. Like one or two people claim that. But then, as I say, working in public service for 20 years and just resigning and using the benefits is not something any sensible person is going to do. Or even 5 years. The situation with Randy Luther McIntosh, Council General to the state. Most of these people, when their political appointments, so during the last few days, they had changed. I think some of them resigned and did not wait to be recalled. But, for instance, somebody like Andrea Bowman, who is the diplomat in Taiwan, I see a lot of people saying that, a lot of people saying to leave Miss Bowman in that position because she was never involved in the political aspect of the position. Like we say, how Council General Pittsburgh was involved or Luther was involved. I'm not sure about the other diplomats like in Venezuela and Cuba. I never heard the person in Venezuela being involved in the political discussions or the political postings or whatever. And the person who's in Cuba, somebody is still in Cuba. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think that probably Luther should have resigned the position. But as I said, I don't know what his contract entails. I don't know if he resigns, if he has benefits that he will lose. Or if he's waiting on a recall, he could gain his benefits. I would think that if I was in his position and I will lose benefits, I will wait on the recall so I could get my benefits. You're already in a position. You're already in a position where people are ridiculing you and chanting you down. So because of pride, you're gonna just lose your benefits. These things don't make sense to me. I'm just being practical, right? I'm just being practical. And coming back to the security for the Prime Minister, I think that the former Prime Minister, opposition leader, I think that he needs security. And I think that going forward, former leaders will definitely need security.
So, Lyf, will he down to just a driver right now?
Yeah, this is just a driver, but a police driver. And a police driver is okay though. A police driver is okay though, because people might think twice if once they see a police officer. So that's not like completely bad, right? Because as a police driver, and I said, people might think twice when they see a police driver. But
and that person could also double as security. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I don't know the details of the driver, of having the driver. I don't know if the driver is a 24-hour position where one changes or three or 3 drivers a day for the 24-hour period. If you understand what I mean, or 2 a 12-hour period. Because if he wants to go somewhere, he will have to definitely be alone. If he doesn't have the driver, like say somebody's driving him or he's driving himself, maybe for his own safety, he should consider personal security. Because guardsmen provide armed security guards or whatever, but people want to have the same respect for guardsman security as they would for a police officer. And I don't see this thing as being political. I just think that the current climate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not conducive to someone like Dr. Rob Gonsalves walking around St. Vincent by himself without protection. And I don't think it's conducive. I don't think it's conducive to the Prime Minister now walking around without protection either. People are real stupid. You know, I have received so much threats in my life because of simple things involved with my work. Simple things that don't even make sense. There was and not only me, people have called newspaper officers threatening journalists and threatening staff for simple things. A deceased young lady, the public will know her as Gaza dead. She and her boyfriend once went to a newspaper office to make threats, and she was not somebody to play her up. And this is newspaper writing facts, things that came out in court and whatnot that you received threats from, much less to a Prime Minister who has been attracting former Prime Minister who has been attracting so much hate over the period of rulership. That people do not say bad, threatening, spiteful things against correct. You don't really find that. You might find like a little gist, a little a little thing, a little talk about something or whatever. But I've never heard anyone say to go out and do bad things to the current Prime Minister. I've never heard that. But I've seen on social media many times people say, "Oh, kill this and kill that. Do this and do that to family members," or whatever. So that's why I think that issue security should be top priority. And we should just put all the political back and forth out we do in relation to this. Because as I said, people in St. Vincent right now, St. Vincent is a different kind of place right now. It's not the same place as about 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, I suppose that is what
are ignorant.
But I also do think that is what is trying or there is being encouraged, that we get back to not being so political tension. Well, so much tension on account of politics anymore. Let's get back to that. But I hear what you're saying, but I suppose if I have to have a very, very frank conversation with you off air.
If I was the opposition leader right now, I would have private security, and not only for me when I'm moving about, but also for my home.
And that's kind of part of what it is. I probably would talk to you about off air, because when it's a case of being politically appointed, or in the case of somebody who is either former prime minister or former minister of government, you have to prepare for when there is going to be a change and when there is going to be a transition. So in the case of the former prime minister, with the security detail, I think initially it started at 6 and now it's down to 1. You had to have known at some point, right, to a driver, you had to have known at some point that you're not going to be in that position forever. So everybody needs to prepare themselves financially for whenever there is going to be a possible change. So
you're talking about in relation to the resignation.
I'm talking about right? both but
realistically speaking, opposition is part of government.
True, yes.
Part of the government mechanism. So I don't think that it should. Okay, picture we have this new government in power for 50, 20 years. And over the time, the politicians involved with the administration develop let me describe it as a hate fan club where people are calling for things to be done to them or whatever, specifically the leader. And then the new government comes into power and says, man, me, Prime Minister again, let me just take with the security and leave him to his own devices. I don't see this as a political issue. I just think it should be a common sense issue. Yeah, and it is done regionally and internationally. It's without question.
Yeah, so I'm actually in agreement with I'm actually in agreement with you with that. I don't have an issue with a former prime minister being given security detail or driver or somebody doubling as both. But I'm talking about in terms of the point that you made with him having his own personal security, or even those who are politically appointed, either thinking that they need to resign for whatever reason. Persons, once you are in a political position, you have to prepare yourself financially for when there is going to be a possible transition.
I agree. Remember, I also said too, some people probably did, and that's why they see some ever resigning, right? But maybe some people couldn't. Watch, let me tell you something. People say, oh, the former prime ministers were walking around Sylvester without security. Not because something is being done means it is right, because former Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell was also a far relative of mine, was struck in his face on a boat by a military person who could have easily killed him. Yeah. So that also makes my point, not because something happened. It means that it should happen.
It should continue.
It should continue. Listen, Mr. Mitchell, cool fella. Nobody was threatening to kill him or anything. So he was prime minister at a time when he could walk around by himself, and he was on a boat going to Beckway in his comfort zone, in his constituency, and not a normal civilian, a soldier from the army. I think it was UK Army or some army. He was home on vacation, and he cuffed the prime minister in his face and gave him a black and blue eye. And then he said that he did not know who the person was, but the person had sat down and sat on his daughter or something like that.
Yeah.
So just to show you, and then fast forward, political disturbance. Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Gonzalez, walking truck out and overcome something and hit him in the head and give him a concussion. So then we have two instances where it shouldn't happen. One, it happened in a time when people weren't even thinking about, when it didn't seem like people were thinking on a level to go and hurt a prime minister or hurt a politician. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
We could even bring it up to if we want to stretch it, go further. Former press secretary, political figure Glenn Jackson was actually murdered. You know what I mean? Although persons would argue that is a totally different situation. I'm just using it as a sort of stretch to show you that, listen, these things can happen.
Yeah.
And it won't just benefit, if something like that is put in place, security for former leaders, it won't just benefit one side, it would benefit Prime Minister Dr. Gary Ferry when he resigned from active duty or whatever takes him forward. You know what I mean? So I don't think it should be a kind of spiteful kind of thing in question about security. And I think that what could also be built into the legislation this time around is that politically appointed figures, like diplomats or whatever, should resign. I think they should have that somewhere on paper. Because somebody said to me, boy, Luther should have never allow himself to be dragged to this situation where people saying all those things. He should have just done what everyone who think they are political point has done in the past, just resign. The government changes. He should allow himself to be dragged to that. And I agree, like, because it's serious social media literacy. You know what I mean? And then sometimes with these things, you can't just think about yourself, right? You gotta think about your relatives and your family member, how they're going to feel when they walk in the road, people troubling them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think.
And I don't know what the situation with the other diplomats, but the two main one people had problems with, but NDP supporters had problem with, were Fit, Farner Fit, and Luther, and Fit left the position before.
And by Fitz, you mean Fitzhuggins, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fitzhuggins.
Right.
He left the position before. Mm-hmm. I said I'm not sure what's going on with the other diplomats. I'm not sure if they are to resign. Because I know we have one in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure who's the one in Cuba. If there's still one in Cuba, I'm not even sure. And there are other people like at the UN level, Randa King, Luan Gilchrist. I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm not sure if the government will want those people to leave either, because there are positions that other people may have to transition into. Because I don't think there's something that somebody could just run and go into today and understand it and try to learn the ropes by themselves that easy. So there are positions that people definitely need help transitioning into, and that's what the Prime Minister, Dr. Gordon Friday, was saying, that help with the transition. Yeah. But they know people that they can't keep. Yeah.
All right. So we had to wrap up. I don't know if anything else that you wanted to add, you're gonna have to bring it up tomorrow, right?
One comment before I leave, right? Mm-hmm. Very controversial comment. There are too many little girls in this country that are being sexually abused. And there are also too many instances of little girls under police care that are being sexually abused. Too many of those. And I stress under police care. And that will eventually come out. So that's a comment I want to make for that.
Okay.
For that.
All right, sir. Thank you, and see you tomorrow morning.
Yes, no problem.
All right, Lyf.
Yes, Maka.
All right, nice. That's the time in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's now 11 minutes after 8 o'clock. That's the time by the New Haven Funeral Home.
Here's the fact